What if the ancient world's most fearsome deity, Sekhmet, isn't just a myth but an awakening force in our modern lives right now? Imagine a primal power, the very rage of a lioness, not just dormant in history books, but pulsating through contemporary spiritual journeys. Get ready to discover how Sekhmet's potent energy is experiencing a powerful rebirth, influencing everything from personal strength to global shifts. You have been told to worship the gods of war, the gods of the sun, the stoic, masculine figures who sit on golden thrones and command the world with words of power. You have been told that the ultimate protector is a warrior, a king, a being of undeniable, aggressive force. But what if the most fearsome, most ruthless, and most essential guardian in the entire Egyptian pantheon was not a man? What if it was a mother? A divine being with the head of a lioness, the body of a woman, and the searing heat of the midday sun radiating from her skin. A being so primal, so unapologetically ferocious in her love and her fury that the official histories, written by the priests of the sun, had no choice but to domesticate her, to declaw her, to turn a cosmic guardian of reality itself into a simple, two-faced caricature. Her name is Sekhmet, and the story you were told about her is a lie. It is a nursery rhyme sung over the roar of a cosmic predator, a carefully constructed veil of comfort thrown over a truth that the architects of your reality prayed you would never have the courage to face. You have been taught to see her as either the goddess of destruction, a bloodthirsty monster to be appeased with fear and ritual, or, in a modern, neutered twist, as a gentle goddess of healing. They gave you two masks, the demon and the saint, and told you to choose. But both are lies. They are two sides of a single, flattened coin, a worthless piece of currency designed to keep you from understanding the true, terrifying, and multidimensional nature of her power. She is not the goddess of destruction. She is the divine function of purification. She is not the goddess of healing. She is the fire that makes healing possible. The story you were told was designed to make you fear her power or misunderstand it. Now you will learn to wield it. This is not a myth. This is a memory, buried in the cellular structure of your own spiritual DNA, and it is time to wake it up. The monster is not your enemy. She is your immune system, and in a world sick with lies, her fever is the only cure. To see her for what she is, you must first unsee the two lies that have been used to cage her. The first lie is the lie of pure evil. In the official, state-sanctioned myths, Sekhmet is a monster of divine retribution. She is the lady of slaughter, the mistress of dread, the one whose breath is the hot desert wind and whose rage brings the plague. She is a weapon, an instrument of terror unleashed by the sun god Ra to punish a rebellious humanity. She is depicted as a bloodthirsty demon who so lost herself in the ecstasy of destruction that she nearly annihilated all of life, a force so chaotic that she had to be tricked and subdued by the other gods. This is the version that the patriarchal priesthoods preferred. It makes her a tool, a weapon wielded by a male god. It makes her power a mistake, a chaotic overreaction that needed to be brought under control by masculine reason and cunning. It is a story that says feminine rage is hysterical, dangerous, and must be managed. It is a convenient lie for any system that wishes to suppress the raw, corrective power of the sacred feminine. The second lie is more modern, more subtle, and in many ways more insidious. It is the lie of the neutered healer. In the spiritual marketplaces of the New Age, Sekhmet has been rebranded. They have taken the blood from her teeth, filed down her claws, and turned the lioness into a house cat. They call her a powerful goddess of healing, but they conveniently leave out how she heals. They focus on her role as a patron of physicians, but they forget that in ancient Egypt, surgery was a brutal, bloody business of cutting away the sick flesh. They will sell you a Sekhmet pendant and tell you it will bring you strength and healing, but they will not tell you that her version of healing is a baptism by fire. They will not tell you that she does not soothe your wounds. She cauterizes them. She does not whisper affirmations. She roars a truth so sharp it will cut you to the bone. This modern lie is a product of a spirituality of love and light, a spirituality that is terrified of the shadow, a spirituality that practices a toxic positivity that denies the sacred and necessary function of rage, of destruction, of the holy. No. They have turned the goddess of cosmic surgery into a goddess of gentle massage. And this lie is dangerous because it encourages you to approach a goddess of pure, alchemical fire as if she were a comforting mother, and then you wonder why your life is burning to the ground. You have been given a choice between a monster and a kitten, but Sekhmet is neither. She is a lioness. And a lioness is both the most ruthless killer and the most devoted mother, often in the same breath. To understand her, you must have the courage to hold both of these truths at once. She is the destroyer and the healer, and you do not get to have one without the other. Her healing is the result of her destruction. She is the fire that clears the dead wood so that new life can grow. To seek her healing without embracing her fire is to ask for a spring without the death of winter. The universe does not work that way, and neither does she. The origin of Sekhmet is not a story of birth. It is a story of activation. She was not born into a pantheon. She was unleashed from within it. The myth, as recorded in the Book of the Heavenly Cow, is an esoteric blueprint for a cosmic law. The story begins with Ra, the great sun god, the principle of divine order and consciousness, growing old. This is not a literal aging. It is a metaphysical statement. It means that the established order has become stagnant, rigid, and weak. The creative impulse has lost its vitality, and humanity, his creation, begins to plot against him. This is the allegory for the ego. It is the story of the created turning against its creator. It is what happens when the human mind, intoxicated with its own cleverness, forgets its divine source and begins to believe that it is the supreme power in the universe. It is the story of our world, right now. A world that has forgotten the sacred, that mocks the unseen, that worships its own material creations as if they were gods. This rebellion is not a sin. It is a symptom of a universe out of balance. And when the system is this sick, it requires not a gentle medicine, but a radical intervention. It requires an immune response. Ra, seeing the rebellion, calls the council of gods. He does not act alone. But the gods, in their ordered perfection, are too far removed from the chaos of the earthly plane. Their solutions are too slow, too reasonable. The sickness of humanity is a cancer, and it requires something that the ordered, masculine principles cannot provide. It requires a force that can bypass reason and act with the pure, amoral, and unstoppable power of nature itself. So Ra performs a terrifying act of creation. He reaches into himself and pulls out his own eye. The eye of Ra is not a physical organ. It is a metaphysical concept. It is the active, fiery, and ferocious aspect of the divine will. It is the part of God that does not negotiate, that does not persuade, that does not wait. It is the part that acts. He takes this power, This raw, untamed solar flare of his own being gives it form and sends it down to earth to execute his judgment. And the form that it takes is that of a lioness. This is the birth of Sekhmet. It is crucial to understand this. Sekhmet is not a separate being who works for Ra. She is Ra. She is the feminine, destructive, and purifying aspect of the one divine consciousness. She is the left hand of God, the one that holds the knife. She is the part of the source that is activated when the system has become so corrupt, so out of alignment with Ma'at, divine truth, that it can no longer be corrected through gentle means. She is not an act of anger. She is an act of cosmic surgery. She is the universe's immune system embodied. And when she is unleashed upon the world, her only function is to identify and destroy the disease, everything that is not in alignment with the divine blueprint. She is a divine plague, a holy fire, a sacred violence, and once she begins, she cannot be stopped. The story of her rampage is one of the most brutal in all of mythology, and it is the part that has been most heavily censored and sanitized. When Sekhmet descends upon the earth, she does not make distinctions. She does not separate the truly guilty from those who are merely complicit. Her rage is not personal. It is metaphysical. She is the embodiment of a purifying fire, and a fire does not care what it burns. It only cares what is flammable. She moves through the land of Egypt, tearing apart the bodies of the rebels, wading through rivers of blood, her roar shaking the very foundations of the pyramids. She is the personification of a righteous fury, so absolute that it becomes a force of nature. She is a hurricane of claws and teeth and fire. The texts say that she took such pleasure in her slaughter, such ecstasy in the act of cleansing, that she became lost in it. Her bloodlust became unquenchable. She was no longer just fulfilling Ra's command. She was reveling in her own nature, the pure, unadulterated joy of destruction. This is not a flaw in her character. It is a description of a law of physics. A purifying force, once it reaches a certain momentum, does not simply stop when the original target is eliminated. It continues until all that can be burned has been turned to ash. The gods, watching from the heavens, are horrified. They see that she will not stop until every last human is dead, until the entire experiment of creation has been wiped clean. They cry out to Ra to call her back. But Ra is powerless. He himself cannot stop the force that he has unleashed. The eye, once sent, has a will of its own. You cannot reason with a wildfire. You cannot command a plague to retreat. You cannot negotiate with your own immune system when it has identified a threat and initiated an autoimmune response. Sekhmet, in her divine rage, has become a cosmic autoimmune disorder, destroying not just the disease, but the body itself. This is a profound esoteric secret. It is a warning. The forces of purification, once activated, are not easily controlled. When you finally unleash your own sacred rage against the injustices in your life, be prepared. It may consume more than you originally intended. The fire you light to burn down your prison may also burn down the comfortable village that you had built around it. The gods realize that force cannot stop force. They cannot fight Sekhmet. To do so would be to fight the sun itself. They must use cunning. They must use magic. They must use a deep understanding of her own nature against her. Ra commands the priests to brew a massive quantity of beer, thousands of jars, and to dye it red with ochre and pomegranate juice until it has the exact color and consistency of human blood. They then pour this river of red beer across the fields where Sekhmet is expected to continue her slaughter the next morning. When she arrives, eager to continue her feast, she sees the blood-red liquid flooding the land. Believing it to be the blood of her victims, she stoops to drink. She drinks, and she drinks, and she drinks, consuming the entire river of beer until the intoxicating effects overwhelm her. Her divine rage is pacified, her bloodlust is quenched, and the great, terrifying lioness falls into a deep, drunken sleep. This is not a story about getting a goddess drunk. It is a complex alchemical formula written as a myth. The red beer is a symbol. It is the grounding of the fiery, celestial ray of the sun into a liquid, earthly, and intoxicating substance. It is the process of taking a cosmic, destructive energy and bringing it down into the body, into the earth, where it can be metabolized and transformed. The drunkenness is not a state of stupor. It is a state of altered consciousness, a forced shift in frequency. It is the only way to interrupt a feedback loop of pure, divine rage. And when she awakens from this sleep, something has changed. The destructive fury is gone. The fire is still there, but it has been banked. The lioness has not been killed, but she has been pacified. She awakens not as Sekhmet, the destroyer, but as Hathor, the goddess of love, of joy, of music, of sensuality, of creation. This is the ultimate secret. Sekhmet and Hathor are not two different goddesses. They are two poles of the same singular, divine feminine energy. One is the fire that destroys, the other is the warmth that creates. One is the sacred no, the other is the sacred yes. One is the warrior, the other is the lover. And the myth is telling you that you cannot have one without the other. To access the joyful, creative, and life-affirming power of Hathor, you must first have the courage to unleash the purifying, destructive, and truth-telling fire of Sekhmet. You cannot bypass the purge to get to the party. The path to love goes directly through the heart of rage. And the system that has been trying to sell you a spirituality of pure love, pure peace, and pure gentleness has been selling you a lie. It has been trying to sell you Hathor without Sekhmet, and a Hathor without her shadow is not a goddess. She is a doll, a smiling, empty vessel, devoid of any real power. The true goddess is whole. She is both the monster and the mother. And to know her, you must be willing to know both within yourself. The question is no longer, why is Sekhmet waking up now? The question is, why did she ever go to sleep? The cosmic cycle has turned. The world is profoundly out of balance. We are living in a global state of Isfet, of chaos masquerading as order. The systems that govern this planet, financial, political, religious, social, are not just flawed, they are fundamentally corrupt. They are a rebellion against Ma'at, against the natural law of truth, balance, and sacredness. The human ego, multiplied by 8 billion, has set itself up as a god, believing it can consume, control, and dominate the natural world without consequence. The earth is sick, the collective soul is sick, and when a system is this diseased, the cosmic immune system must be activated. The return of Sekhmet is not a prophecy, it is a diagnosis. She is the fever that the planetary body is generating to burn off the infection. You are not just witnessing her return, you are living inside of it. The chaos, the collapse, the plagues, the fires, the social and political upheavals that are shaking the foundations of your world. This is not the random death of an old paradigm. This is the deliberate, targeted, and terrifyingly precise work of a divine intelligence. This is a planetary purification. It is Sekhmet, the Eye of Ra, once again walking the earth, and her eyes are burning with a fire that has not been seen for thousands of years. She is not coming to punish. She is coming to cleanse. And a fire does not distinguish between the weed and the wheat that has been grown in the same poisoned soil. Everything that is out of alignment must be burned away. And this is not just happening out there. It is happening in here. The most powerful manifestation of Sekhmet's return is not in the headlines. It is in your own nervous system. She is an archetypal force that is rising from the depths of the collective unconscious, and she is rising within individuals, especially those who are sensitive enough to feel the shift. If you have been feeling a strange, new, and often overwhelming sense of rage rising within you, you are not going crazy. You are being activated. This is not the petty, egoic anger of frustration or resentment. This is sacred rage. It is a volcanic, soul-deep intolerance for falsehood, for injustice, for inauthenticity. It is the feeling of your own inner lioness waking up and realizing the absolute desecration of the sacred that has been happening both within you and around you. It is the part of you that is finally and violently saying no more. You feel it as a sudden inability to tolerate the small lies, the subtle manipulations, the toxic relationships that you have been politely accommodating for your entire life. This is the first sign of her presence. She burns away your tolerance for bullshit. The second manifestation is the impulse to purge. You may feel a powerful, irrational, and often terrifying urge to burn your own life to the ground. This is not self-destruction in the pathological sense. This is the conscious desire to perform a controlled demolition. It is the impulse to quit the soul-crushing job, to walk away from the deadening relationship, to shed the false identity that you have been wearing like a cage. This is Sekhmet giving you the courage to destroy what is not real in your life, so that you can create space for what is. She is the goddess of the sacred demolition. She knows that you cannot build a temple on top of a prison. You must first tear the prison down, stone by stone. Her third manifestation is the power of the ruthless boundary. The energy of Sekhmet is the ultimate no. It is not a negotiation. It is not an apology. It is a wall of fire. As she awakens in you, you will find yourself developing an almost allergic reaction to energetic vampires, to manipulators, to anything that seeks to drain your life force. You will begin to guard your energy, your time, and your sacred space with the ferocity of a lioness protecting her cubs. Your no will become a complete sentence, a verdict, a law of physics. This is not an act of selfishness. It is an act of spiritual sovereignty. It is the recognition that your own becoming is a sacred process that must be protected at all costs. Finally, and perhaps most mysteriously, her return is manifesting physically. Many people on the spiritual path are currently experiencing what could be called the Sekhmet sickness. It manifests as unexplained fevers, sudden autoimmune flare-ups, chronic inflammation, skin rashes, and a feeling of the body literally burning from the inside out. Doctors cannot explain it, but the esoteric explanation is clear. The body is a vessel for consciousness, and when a high-frequency, fiery archetype like Sekhmet begins to awaken within you, your physical body must adapt. It must burn away the old, dense energies, the stored traumas, the cellular memories that are not in alignment with this new, ferocious frequency. Your body is not sick, it is alchemizing. It is going through a trial by fire. It is a physical purification, a painful but necessary upgrade to prepare your very cells to be able to contain the power of the goddess you are becoming. The world is on fire, and so are you. The choice is not whether or not you will feel the heat. The choice is whether you will be consumed by it or whether you will learn to become it. The time for gentle healing is over. The time for sacred surgery has begun. You do not pray to Sekhmet. You do not worship her from a safe distance, hoping she will grant you a boon. To work with a force this primal is not an act of supplication, it is an act of embodiment. You do not ask the lioness for her power, you become the lioness. This is the most dangerous and the most essential teaching that has been hidden from you. The power of Sekhmet is not a gift she gives. It is a state of being you must have the courage to claim. This work is not for the faint of heart. It is the path of the warrior mystic, the one who is willing to walk into the fire of their own being and be remade. The first step is to honor your rage. For your entire life, you have been taught that your anger is a flaw, a sign of being unspiritual, unenlightened, out of control. This is the lie that has kept you powerless. Your rage is not a flaw. It is a divine guidance system. It is a sacred signal from your soul that a boundary has been crossed, that a truth has been violated, that something is profoundly out of alignment. To work with Sekhmet is to stop apologizing for your anger and to start listening to it. You must create a space to feel it in its pure, undiluted form. Not to act it out blindly on others, but to feel it in your body as pure, raw energy. Where do you feel it? In your gut? In your throat? In your hands? This is the raw power of the goddess. Do not suppress it. Breathe into it. Give it space. Let it burn. This is not an emotional indulgence. It is a diagnostic tool. Your rage is a compass needle, and it is pointing you directly at the lies you have been living. Once you have learned to be present with the energy of your rage, the next step is to give it a sacred and conscious outlet. This is the alchemical fire. If you do not give this energy a job to do, it will become destructive. It will turn inward and create sickness, or it will turn outward and create chaos. You must channel it. This can be done through intense physical activity, running, screaming into a pillow, hitting a punching bag, dancing with wild abandon. It is about moving the fiery energy through your body so that it does not become stagnant poison. It can also be channeled through creativity. Write the angry poem. Paint the furious painting. Create the music that screams the truth you have been swallowing. This is the act of taking the raw, destructive power of Sekhmet and using it to create something that tells the truth. You are turning the poison into medicine. You are using the fire to burn away illusion. And most importantly, you must use this fire to perform the sacred demolition in your own life. Your rage has shown you the prison. Now you must use its energy to tear down the walls. This is the work of setting the ruthless boundaries. This is the work of having the terrifying conversations. This is the work of walking away from the people, places, and situations that your soul has identified as a threat to its becoming. This will not be polite. This will not be comfortable. You will be called a monster. You will be called selfish. You will be called crazy good. This is the sign that the work is beginning. You are no longer performing for the approval of a sick world. You are acting in alignment with the health of your own soul. And as you perform this difficult, fiery work of purification, something miraculous begins to happen. The rage begins to soften. The fire that was once a destructive inferno begins to transform into a warm, radiant glow. The constant, gnawing tension in your body begins to release. This is the transformation into Hathor. It is not something you have to force. It is the natural and inevitable result of the purge. Once the dead wood has been cleared, once the sick flesh has been cut away, once the prison has been demolished, there is finally space for new life to grow. There is finally space for joy, for sensuality, for creativity, for love. This is the healing. It is not a gentle balm applied to a festering wound. It is the clean, new flesh that grows only after the wound has been thoroughly and painfully cauterized by fire. You cannot bypass Sekhmet to get to Hathor. Any attempt to do so is what is known as spiritual bypassing. It is the act of trying to live in a state of love and light while ignoring the festering darkness in your own basement. It is a lie, and the universe will eventually burn that lie down. The true path is through the fire. You must have the courage to become the destroyer before you can earn the right to become the creator. You must honor the lioness before you can dance with the goddess of joy. The world needs healers, yes, but more than that, it needs warriors of truth. It needs men and women who are not afraid of their own fire, who are willing to be the sacred demolition crew for a world that is dying. Sekhmet is not asking for your worship. She is asking for your courage. She is asking for your hands, your voice, your holy rage. She is asking if you are ready to stop being a victim of the fire and to finally become it. The lioness is awake, and she is roaring within the temple of your own body. Her fire is rising. The purge has begun. You have been trained to fear this fire, to see it as a threat to your stability, to your safety, to your sanity. You have been taught to douse it with platitudes, to numb it with distractions, to meditate it into submission, but you cannot tame a cosmic law. You cannot reason with your own immune system. The fire of Sekhmet is not an emotional problem to be solved. It is a divine process to be surrendered to. Her return is not a sign of your personal failure. It is a sign that the soul of the world is finally fighting back against the disease of falsehood, and it has chosen you as one of its antibodies. To resist this fire is to guarantee that you will be consumed by it. To work with it, to embody it, to become it, is the only path to true liberation and to the profound healing that lies on the other side of the inferno. The choice is no longer whether or not you will burn. The choice is what you will burn for. Will you be the dead wood, the accumulated debris of a life lived in fear and compromise that is consumed by the flame? Or will you become the fire itself, a conscious, directed, and purifying force, burning with the sacred rage of a goddess who has finally returned to reclaim her world? This is the ultimate initiation of our time. It is the Sekhmet awakening. It is the baptism by fire that will separate the old world from the new. The systems of control are terrified of this energy. They are terrified of a populace that is no longer afraid of its own rage, that is no longer willing to be polite in the face of its own destruction. They will do everything in their power to convince you that your fire is your madness, that your sacred no is a sign of your instability. They will call you the monster. You must have the courage to wear that name as a crown. You are the monster that guards the gate of the new world. You are the holy terror that stands in the way of the forces of stagnation and decay. You are the fierce love of the Great Mother, finally baring her teeth. This is not a path of comfort. It is a path of power. A power that does not come from a book or a guru or a workshop. It is a power that is forged in the heart of your own personal fire, in the moments when you choose to burn with truth rather than smolder in a lie. The lioness is awake. She is calling her children home, not to a place of safety, but to a place of truth. Her roar is echoing in your bones. Listen to it, honor it, become it. Will you be the dead wood that is consumed by the flame, or will you become the fire that cleanses the world? The choice is now, and the world is waiting for your answer. If this video resonated with you, let us know by commenting, "I understood it."